Well, so Peter, I'm a huge fan of your work, even before Doctor Who.
Oh, really?
Growing up as a kid, watching Neverwhere, and then seeing you become the Doctor has been such an exciting thing. And I know you're probably going to get this question a lot, but this is probably the first character that will have been turned into a toy, into a figure. And
yes.
And despite having played lots of iconic characters in Neverwhere, in Malcolm.
Yeah.
This is the first one who I think probably fits that the best. What's it been like being a figure, a cartoon in that way?
It's quite strange because first of all, it's so amazing to have the role in the first place. You can't quite believe your luck that they're letting you be Doctor Who, but you never really quite believe it until they actually present you with a figure, or in this instance, a Lego version of yourself. You think, oh, it must actually be happening. It's for real, because that does look like me, although I'm always slightly shocked now that I seem to have grey hair, which I didn't seem to have when I started, but I do now. But it looks great on the figure. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's just the scale of Doctor Who is just much bigger than anything else that I've worked on. And like most shows of its nature, there's this balance that you have to strike between making the program and selling it. But you have to face the reality that people want toys and they want books and things, as I did when I was a little kid. But when I was a little kid, the Doctor Who merchandise was basically, there was one book that came out every year, which was the Doctor Who annual, and maybe a little TARDIS thing or a little Dalek occasionally. Now there's this vast toy store full of stuff. But yeah, it's very exciting to see yourself portrayed in that way, although you have to let your vanity go out the window.
Is it humbling to see a figure of yourself and then to see yourself moving around in a game?
Oh, absolutely, because also it is, the thing that people are responding to is Doctor Who. It's not me, and Matt will say the same, and David and Chris. It's you find yourself, you wear this mantle of Doctor Who, but the thing that people are crazy about is Doctor Who. It's not the actor. But you get the benefit of their affection for all of the Doctors. And yeah, to see it in game form was so exciting because, to be honest, I wasn't quite sure what it was going to be when the guys started talking to me about it, and because I'm not au fait with that world terribly, but I was knocked out. I thought it had a scale, it had a kind of movie kind of a sense about it. Visually, I just thought, this is dazzling. And the great thing about the whole Lego world and the way that it's been expanded into games and movies and stuff is it comes with an irony and a wit, but not to the cost of the essence of the characters. Doctor Who is still a time-traveling, Dalek-fighting, rebel Time Lord. But I think there's a little bit of him that is aware that he's a Lego figure. So that gives him a kind of sense of irony. And the whole game's like that. It's very, very exciting. So yeah, it's not even something I would ever have imagined, or even could have imagined. I wouldn't know how it would look. But all the figures look amazing. Gandalf looks, and the Daleks, I love the little Daleks, which actually are still quite scary when you see them with the voice, Nick Briggs doing the voice and all that. It's great.
What did you expect when you were told you're going to be in a video game, you're going to be playing a video game character?
Half the time I don't know what they were talking about. I was just nodding, yeah, that sounds great, yeah. Who cares? Who knows what this is going to be like? It's just another thing, you think, because when you become Doctor Who, suddenly there are hundreds of different games / books / outlets and social media things and blah, blah. Suddenly you're not just playing a part. You have to deal with all this other stuff. So I wasn't really quite sure. It took me a while to make the connection between Lego, the figures, and a video game. But in fact, you can bring these two things together in such a exciting way was a revelation. I guess, didn't realize that the game would be so epic and so engaging. I sort of thought there would be a bit of me would always be saying, oh, it's, really someone going like this. But in fact, it's so entertaining. I didn't realize that there'd be so much wit in the dialogue and in the relationships between the characters. They're very full. and very amusing. So that was really an eye-opener to me.
Have you played many video games yourself, or is this kind of one of the first? I'm going to say no, but I would give you the benefit of the doubt.
I'm very ignorant of it all, really, and so that's why my eyes would glaze over as people were talking to me, and I would say, yeah, that sounds fun, that sounds good. Never really quite knowing what to expect. But no, it's not really part of my world or part of my experience. That said, having seen this, I'd love to play it. Not just because I'm in it, but because it's a whole entertainment that I didn't sort of realize was there. That's just like I've been in the jungle, didn't realize the war was over, and I've come out and been told that there's television and stuff. But yeah, I thought it was remarkable.
And so much of Doctor Who is what you bring to the character, but it's also the writing and what the writers have crafted around that. Does that feel like it's a part of this game as well?
Absolutely, because I don't think it would be as much fun if it was not as witty or as thought through, or if there wasn't a plot that was as good as this and a villain like this. All of that stuff is meat. That makes it interesting. That makes it fun. I'm very keen with Doctor Who that we work very, very hard to try and make the show the best that we can. And sometimes we have limitations of time and budget, and one of the reasons Doctor Who looks so great is because there are a lot of fans work on the show. And so sometimes, a lot of the time, people do stuff that they're not really getting paid for, or that they, because it is Doctor Who, they want to go the extra mile with. So it's very important when we're involved with any merchandising and stuff that it is of a similar imaginative ambition. And I think that's undoubtedly the true of this game. It's fun, it's exciting. See those Daleks and the Cybermen and the Dalek Emperor and the voices. It's, it's all going on. You're not getting shortchanged, which is fantastic.
It's something that draws so many fans. You have, I think, a lot of successes in cult hits, even here in America. Like you were a known person before you did Doctor Who, but that's just exploded your popularity. And now coming to Comic-Con, like that's going to be a different experience than anything you had before. What's that growth, that explosion been like?
Well, first of all, I've never been to Comic-Con before, so I really I go onto the internet and look at pictures of previous Comic-Cons, and I'm absolutely enthralled and charmed by all these photos of people in costumes of varying degrees of professionalism, and that's almost what I quite like about it. I like the least professional ones. I think are my favorite ones, because I think they're done with such humor and such aplomb. I think it's, I've had to confront the fact that I am a more well-known and a more visible face, but I think I'm very lucky in the fact that I play Doctor Who. So what happens to me is I get the affection, exposed to the affection that people have for the show, which I think is a rather more welcome thing than if you were just famous for being an actor in a show, because it's this very special show, and you become you carry the mantle of it for whatever period you're playing it. You get the benefit of the work that everybody else has done on it. So yes, it's been strange. I mean, I realize I have to be careful what I say, and not that I'm never likely to say anything particularly bad or whatever, but I realize I'm chatting to people, and somebody's got a mobile phone going and they're filming me and stuff like that. And I think I can't possibly be saying anything of any interest to anyone. But that's just the way of the world at the moment. But I would say generally the affection with which people greet Doctor Who is a great thing to have in your life. And sometimes I've talked to Matt or to David about it, and it's extraordinary. There are very few of us have been in this position. It's a great one to be in.
And if you haven't before, I'm sure at this point you're going to meet people who are dressed up as you.
Yeah.
Has that been something you've met before, or are you expecting to meet yourself?
Sometimes when we go on location, there'll be a little smattering of people. Sometimes someone comes and says, I'm dressed as you, with an unrecognizable outfit, which they've cobbled together. But in a way, it's weird because I never really when I chose what I was going to wear as Doctor Who, I never had any thought in mind about people dressing up. In fact, quite the contrary, I thought it was important to just try and get what made me feel like Doctor Who. And I didn't want to have something that had things that could be fastened onto and easily, well, I wanted something that could be easily copied. Because I thought I wanted kids to be able, if they wanted to just have their school shirt and just bun it up, and they'd have a Doctor Who shirt and just wear a dark jacket or whatever. So I wanted something very, very simple. But I didn't realize that would then in itself become a kind of little icon. And so now I can see people approaching me and they're dressed in the black or the dark blue with the red, and oh, that looks quite good. So we sort of accidentally stumbled upon something that looks quite good, I think.
And as as someone who hasn't played video games but maybe sees them as something that could be fun, do you see that as a positive? This melding of worlds of fandom like Doctor Who and video games, and
I see it as a positive if it's done to this quality, because the demands and ambition that the game makers have imposed upon themselves are very high. They've given themselves the task of creating something that's very entertaining, very exciting and dramatic. So I think as long as we are trying to make good material to a high standard, it is good. If we're just going to use these characters as marketing devices for not particularly thought through or exciting games, then no. But that's not where we are. I think that's the really exciting thing, is the characters are existing in another hugely dramatic, fun and witty world. And it's just a bonus really to what we're already doing.